If you want to build a profitable personal brand, you need to be consistent with content. And that's your problem. You post for a month, then life happens, and you start all over again. That way you don't grow, and your business doesn't make any money. So that's what I'll show you today, how you can finally break free from that and finally get consistent. So first of all, I just want to break a common belief that you might have, that you just have a lack of discipline or motivation, and that's why you're not consistent. But that's a big misbelief, I think, because if you're watching this video right now, you're likely motivated to grow that personal brand. And you probably also have some sort of discipline. You probably have your habits that you follow every single day. So it's not like that you're the issue here, that you don't have discipline, that you don't have motivation. It's rather you fall into one of these 3 traps that I will present you today that just stop you from getting where you want to be. So I just want to be very clear on that, because that's like a big thing a lot of people think is the issue, and then they try to work on that, but it's not going to help in the end. So let's start with the first one, and that's multi-passionate people. Well, I'm one of them, and we do have a big blessing, and that is that we are very interested in a lot of things, a lot of different topics. For myself, I can get interested in almost anything. I could work in almost any job, and I would probably enjoy it to some certain degree. But at the same time, it's very hard for us to focus on one thing for an extended period of time. We always like to jump from, one thing to the other, and then we get this idea, oh, it would be cool to do that kind of thing. It would be cool to start another business. And it's the same with our niche. A lot of people on YouTube are teaching us that we should choose one niche, go very narrow on that niche, and stick with it for a long time. That's basically the way to succeed, at least according to them. But I think there's something very wrong with that. And that's why I want to show you today the anti-niche concept. Because with that, you're basically locking yourself into a very narrow area. And for us multi-passionates, it's extremely hard to stick with that. Because as I said, we always like to explore different things. We always like to jump from one part to the other. You might choose personal training as your niche. Then you make content for maybe 1 or 2 months. And after, you're just questioning everything because you got more interest in something else. So you maybe decide to change your niche to that other topic, which might be maybe personal development. Then you do that for 2 months and you have the same issue again. And that just repeats over and over again. That's the trap that I have fallen into many times. And I think I finally found a solution to it. So instead of focusing on a specific niche, I want you to think rather of content pillars. So pillars are multiple things, multiple interests, multiple topics that you can cover. And that goes back to how our lives are structured, because our life is not just one specific thing. You're not just a fitness trainer, but you may be also a father. You may be someone who is interested in nature, who likes to go on hikes on the weekends, who likes to read books, who likes to go out, hang out with your friends. Life is diverse. Life is not just black and white. But often when choosing a niche on social media, we feel blocked into this kind of box. And we kind of have to stay into this artificially created box. And that's very hard for us. So if you think of content pillars instead of a niche, it's much easier to explore those different areas. So let me give you an example. Let's say you're a fitness trainer and you make personal fitness content on your personal brand. So that might be one of your pillars. Then another one might be fatherhood, because you're also a father. And the third one might be your interest in nature, hiking, connection with nature, those kind of things. So those are your 3 pillars. Obviously, you're not going to cover all of them at once. That wouldn't quite work. But here's the interesting thing that comes in, because you can start with one of these pillars for the first 1 or 2 months. I also want you to think of seasons rather than just like an extended period of time. So the first season might be personal training content. Cover that. After that, you slowly start to introduce maybe some fatherhood content. And I know that doesn't seem like it makes sense or it fits together, but when you actually think about it, a lot of people are in this situation. They are working out and they are maybe a father. Like, that's quite a common thing. So think about the intersection of these 2 topics. So for example, you could create a video that is called something like how being a father has impacted my training or my workout, or how I handle my workouts while being a father. There's like a wide range of topics you can cover with that. So you slowly start introducing fatherhood content for another 1 or 2 months. And then you move on to your third content pillar and so on. And that way you kind of have like a rotation of content, and it's not always the same. And as mentioned, that's especially good for someone like us, multi-passionates. We can't stick with something for too long. So that way we are able to rotate between these topics in a way. And you know what's a great thing? At the same time, we're connecting much better with our audience. So if you think about your audience, they're not just interested in personal training, but they may be also father, and they maybe also go hiking on the weekends. So that whole picture makes you just a perfect person for them to watch, because they can connect with you on the same level. And as more interests as you introduce on your personal brand, as more people might be able to connect in the end, even though it seems quite like a broad approach. But that's exactly where you build connection with the audience. And especially since the age of AI, authenticity has become a huge thing. So actually being an authentic personal brand makes you stand out the most at the moment. It's not about having best thumbnail, having the best tools to maybe analyze the video topics or so on. It's actually simply about being a human and being authentic on your channel. That's what it's all about. And I think that's where we multi-passionates have a huge advantage actually, because for us it's in our nature that we are sharing multiple interests, and that's exactly what aligns with most of the people that watching your videos. So that's the first reason why you might be inconsistent. By the way, if that sounds like you and you've been inconsistent with content for a long time, I'm actually hosting a workshop in the end of this month, but more on that later in the video. If you're interested, check out the video description. Now let's move on to the second one. And that's what I call the never-ending content cycle, because it is like that. In the end, we have to make content, and we have to make content for a very long time. It's not like that you just have a lucky hit and you go viral and your channel grows like suddenly overnight. That might happen for some people, but the majority of people will have to do the hard work, and they have to make videos for an extended period of time. I'm talking about 2, 3, 4 years. And it's very hard, because you have to repeat yourself over and over again. It's like I'm scripting a video on Monday, maybe Tuesday I'm filming it, Wednesday I'm editing, until I can finally publish it on Friday. Then I have to do a thumbnail and title and so on. So like a lot of steps involved. And once I finally hit the weekend, the next week starts and I will have to do the same over again. And that can feel very draining, especially also with short form content where you're supposed to upload every day pretty much. And doing that for a long time is very hard for most people. And simply that is the reason why a lot of people are not consistent on social media. But ultimately we choose this as our job. That's just part of it. That's the core of our business. Sure, in the future you might want to sell products, you might want to make workshops, but content is your core. That's just the reason why people come to you in the first place. That's your organic outreach, if you want it like that. So there needs to be a lot of focus on content before you can monetize in any way. So we can't really change that aspect. You simply have to make content. But what we can change is how you approach content. That's why I really want you to think, how long does it take you to make one piece of content? If it's like a YouTube video or a short, reel, whatsoever, how long does it really take you in the end? Are you able to be consistent with that? Because most people, unfortunately, choose some format that almost makes it impossible for them to be consistent. It's not like that they don't have enough time. It's not like they don't have discipline, but they just choose the wrong format. It's going to take them 3 weeks for one YouTube video. So that's a big problem. I really want you to start thinking to make content creation as easily as humanly possible. Make it as easy as humanly possible. In the end, it needs to suit your lifestyle and not someone else's. So really think, how much time do you have per week to dedicate to making videos? If you're working a full-time job and you're planning to make cinematic videos about your life once per week, it's unlikely that you will be able to reach that, because those videos take a long time to make. But it's way more likely for you to make a video like that, where you're just talking in front of camera, maybe have a script, give information, that's like done in a few hours. But a cinematic video takes so long. So why are you actually making that? Why are you putting all that extra effort just to make a more fancy video? And just because it's more fancy, it doesn't even mean that it's performing better. It's actually always so funny when you look at these creators, filmmakers, cinematic videos, those kind of things. Those videos look amazing and they are great to watch. I absolutely love them too. But if you really look at these people, in the end, they're not making that much money. If you compare them to other creators that actually focus more on the simple videos and maybe provide value, have a clear, structured approach for their funnel, they make tons of money with like way less subscribers. And that's the interesting part. So it doesn't really matter what you make. You don't have to make the best quality content to make a lot of money. So you should really change your mindset about that and rather think how you can make it as simple as possible. And then another idea is also to start batch recording content. And not just recording, but also ideation, scripting, and so on. So rather than making a YouTube video once a week or making a reel every single day, which is very hard. Let's say you want to make 4 YouTube videos for the next month. So rather than actually recording that every single week, you would go and maybe Monday, you have an ideation session where you can plan out the next 20 videos. On Tuesday, you can script the 4 videos for the next month. And then on Wednesday, you just film all of these 4 videos. And then, you can edit them like in every week, or you can edit them at once, whatever is easier for you. But in the end, that helps a lot because suddenly you don't have to think of it on a daily basis anymore or on a weekly basis. Suddenly it becomes almost effortless. And the last reason I want to mention, that's the perfectionism trap. I know we're all aware of it, and I'm also guilty of that. I'm a perfectionist myself, and I like to make things look pretty, and I don't like to publish a video that looks just like trash. But sometimes, even though we're aware of it, we're still acting as a perfectionist. And even though we know we shouldn't do that, but we're still doing it. And that's just stopping so many people from actually getting successful with their personal brand and making a lot of money and growing their brand. And it's simply because they want to be perfect. I know you've probably heard that. And a lot of us still haven't changed that. They unconsciously still try to make things perfect. So that's why I want to create here a little bit of a mindset shift. I don't want you to think too much of a single piece of content. Let's say you're making short videos. A year has 365 days. So if you upload a video once a day, those are 365 pieces of content that you publish in 1 year. So does it really matter how well the post today performs or how nicely edited the video today is? Does it really matter in the end? Is someone gonna go back and find that video and tell you like, oh, that video doesn't look nice? It probably doesn't matter. In fact, most of these 365 content pieces won't do well. They won't grow your audience. They won't drive you any sales. But there might be 10 videos that go viral and that do exceptionally well and that grow your audience and that drive those sales. But in the end, to get to those 10 videos, you need to make the 365 pieces of content. But you can't get there if you over-perfecting every single video, because it will be impossible to post a video every day. So I really want you to stop caring too much about one piece of content and rather think about the output as your metric. That's very easy to measure. That's like 1 YouTube video a week, 1 short a day. You can even create like a sheet where you just cross off every day. And that's the only metric you should care about. Don't even care much about the views, about subscribers, about anything else. But if you're able to upload a video every single day for the next year, or a YouTube video every single week for the next year, that will have a massive impact on your channel. Massively. So stop caring about perfectionism. And I also want you to start setting time limits. Don't give yourself unlimited time for making a video. Set yourself a clear limit. Okay, I'm gonna upload on Friday. The video needs to be done on Thursday. It's very straightforward. And if you don't get it done by Thursday, well, then you gotta upload it like that. Don't think about making it perfect again. make it, as I said before, as easy as humanly possible. I know all these things are very basic in a way, but if you really think about the most successful creators and personal brands, the only reason why they've been so successful is because they've been consistent over such a long amount of time. We're talking about 2, 3, 4, 5 years. They've been making videos, they've been showing up every week or every day for such a long time. And that's the only reason why they're here. They didn't use any fancy tools or made the best thumbnails, have a talent for speaking in front of camera. That might play a small role, but in the end, they have all one thing in common, and that's that they have been consistent for such a long time. So if you really think about it, if you can be consistent for the next year, this can completely change your life in a way, can completely change your personal brand, grow your channel, can start making money. But the only thing you need to do is just show up every day. So I really hope that helped you to get aware of these things. But I also want you to know that I'm hosting in the end of this month a workshop where we go exactly over these things, and I will show exact systems and give also templates that make this whole process much easier to finally break free from that consistency trap and make content and grow your brand and finally reach your goal, because you probably have big goals for your personal brand. So if that's something that you're interested in, check out the link in the video description, and maybe I'll see you at the workshop. Besides that, thank you so much for watching today. Subscribe to our channel and see you in the next one.